Ask the question, how many of you have major goals? And most people, they raise their hands. But I want to ask you another question, a question that I've been grappling with myself. I'm in a place where the Russian author, Leo Tolstoy, he asked himself a question: what is the meaning and purpose of my life as I face inevitable death that will not be undone or destroyed when I'm gone? And so I want to ask you a question again. How many of you know, if you had your life to live over again? And I've been dealing with that. I'm 72. I'm a 21-year prostate cancer conqueror because of God's grace and mercy. And trust me, it's better to be seen than to be viewed. But I want to ask you, how many of you know, if you had your life to live over again, you could have done more than what you've done thus far? Raise your hands, please. Now, that proves a point that what we do and what we accomplish in life is only a tip of the iceberg of what's possible for us. So I want you to think about some major goals that you'd like to achieve in 3 different areas. Number 1, some personal goal. What's a personal goal that you'd like to achieve? I want you to think about that. My first personal goal was to buy my mother a home. That's Mrs. Mamie Brown. And she adopted my twin brother, Wesley, and I. Which one am I, on the left or the right? I'm the cute one, all right? I'm on your left. She adopted us and 5 other children. She only had a 3rd grade education, and I was determined I was going to take care of her, to buy her home. She worked for wealthy families on Miami Beach. She cooked for them, and we ate the food left over from the families that she cooked for. She kept their children, and we wore the hand-me-down clothes of the children that she kept. And I remember walking around these big, beautiful mansions on Miami Beach saying, "Mama," and she said, "What is it, Leslie?" I said, "When I become a man, I'm going to buy you a big, beautiful home just like this." And she said, "Oh, you don't have to do that." I said, "I know, but I want to." How many have somebody special you'd like to do something for? Raise your hands, please. Let me share with you how you do that. And now I want you to think about your financial freedom number. What is that number that once you achieve that, you become debt-free? It's a good feeling. Once you achieve that, alleviate a lot of stress in your life. Once you achieve that, you'll be able to do things for your family members and friends. What is that? You know, people say money won't make you happy, but everybody want to find out for themselves. A friend of mine, Rita Davenport, said money ain't important, but it's right up there with oxygen. And let me tell you something, fellas, even if you're as homeless as I am, you got some money, women will find something cute on you. Oh, he's got earlobes like Denzel Washington, honey. Eyelashes like Tom Cruise. I used to be so broke I walked past a bank and tripped the alarm. Creditors call the house, my children would answer the phone and say, "My daddy ain't home." I have my children lying on the phone. Oh my God, that's a trip. Poverty sucks. At this stage of my life, I want to give as many people hope as possible. I want you to take your phone out. And I want you to videotape me live on your Facebook. I want as many people to see this message as possible. I believe we live in the greatest country in the world. And there's something wrong in this country when more people committed suicide last year than died in traffic accidents. In this country where people try and outswim sharks to get here. In this country where people try and outrun Jeeps barefooted to get here. There's something wrong. And I believe that a lot of people have just lost hope. Hope. And this, I don't care what anyone says, America has never stopped being great. We're the greatest country on the planet, bar none. So I want you to think about your financial freedom number, and whatever that number is, and listen to me closely, I want you to multiply it 100 times. multiplied 100 times. And don't ask yourself how you're going to do it. How you're going to do it is none of your business. My favorite book says, lean not unto thine own understanding, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. You have a power and a presence in you that can do more than you can ever begin to imagine. I'm telling you this based upon my own experience. No one could have told me, based upon my experience, born in an abandoned building on a floor in a poor section of Miami, Florida called Liberty City. No one could have told me being adopted, and when I was in 5th grade, I was labeled educable, mentally retarded, and put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade, and failed again when I was in the 8th grade. No one could have told me with no college training I would be doing what I'm doing now. And I didn't do it, I'm embarrassed to say, for 14 years. Because I talked myself out of it. But I remember something, it's a book, it's the most exhaustive study on self-esteem, learned optimism. And in there they said that we develop permanent personality characteristics between the ages of 0 and 5. 0 and 5. There's a voice in your heart that says yes or says no. You know, we've been taught forgetting those things which are behind. How many of you know that we might be through with our past, but our past is not through with us? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. How many of you realize there are things that we have experienced that's affecting us, and many times we don't even know? Raise your hand if you understand what I'm saying. And so how people live their lives, I've come to know, is a result of the story they believe about themselves. And so when I was labeled educable, mentally retarded, I'll never forget a man who interrupted my story. I eulogized him last year. Mr. Leroy Washington, I stepped in his classroom looking for MacArthur Stevens. He said, young man, go to the board and work this problem out for me. I said, sir, I'm not one of your students. I'm just here looking for MacArthur. He said, go to the board and work the problem out anyhow. I said, I can't, sir. And the other students started laughing, saying, he's Leslie. He's got a twin brother, Wesley. Wesley's smart. He's DT. What's DT? He's the dumb twin. And I said, I am, sir. And he came from behind his desk and he looked at me. He said, don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. And that was a turning point in my life. On one hand, I was humiliated. But on the other hand, I was liberated. Because he looked at me with the eyes of Goethe, who said, look at a man the way that he is, he only becomes worse. But look at him as if he were what he could be, then he becomes what he should be. And so as you look at yourself and look at your goals and your dreams, I want you to think about your personal goal, your financial goal, and I want you to think about your social contribution. What will be different because you showed up? How many of you want to build a legacy? Raise your hands, please. I was watching an interview on the OWN channel, and Steve Harvey was being interviewed. He said something that really impacted me. He said a friend of his invited him to go to the hospital with him to visit his grandmother in the hospital. And he overheard her ask him, she said, do you know what your great-grandfather's name is? Now, the reason that has value for me, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, and I'm a great-grandfather, 3 sons. And he said, no, I don't know what my great-grandfather's name is. And she said, because he didn't leave you anything. If he had left you something, you would know what his name was. And so I'm determined, and I'm sure some of you identify with me, that my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, because of how I live my life, that they will know my name. How many of you can identify with that? Raise your hands, please. As you think about your goals and dreams, think about your social contribution. What will be different because you showed up? In my case, I train speakers. I train people how to tell their story, how to make an impact, how to earn a living, how to begin to become a voice of influence. What will your social contribution be? I'm going to do a training this year called You're More Powerful Than Cancer. What will yours be? Think about what yours will be. Horace Mann said we should be ashamed to die until we have made some major contribution to humankind. As you think about your goals and dreams, Let us say together with conviction, it's possible. Say it again, everybody together over here, please. It's possible. I was living a mediocre life, and a friend of mine, Mike Williams, he had tremendous impact on me because I was living out of my past. And Mike interrupted my story. And he said, hey, Brownie. And I said, what? He said, you know why you go see Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins and all those guys? I said, no, because, I like what they say. He said, no, because that's you. I said, but Mike, I could never do that. Man, I don't have a college education. I never worked for a major corporation. How can I compete with people with MBAs and PhDs and college credentials I don't have? How many of you have ever had someone see something in you that you didn't see in yourself? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and so I didn't see that because based upon my past, I was living out of my history as opposed to my imagination. I want you to think about yourself where you are right now, and let us say together, it's possible. And I'm going to share some tools with you how you can begin to grow that, because one of the easiest things I've ever done was to earn $1 million. That was easy. But the most difficult thing I've ever done, and took years to do, was to believe that I can do it. That I can do it. If my birth parents came in here now, I would not know either one. That I can do it. Raised in poverty, that I can do it. Being labeled educable, mentally retarded, and failing twice in school, and being called DT, the dumb twin. I had no clue. And let me say something to you, and I don't know you, but I can tell you based upon my own experience, you have greatness in you. You have the ability to do more than you can ever begin to imagine. Dr. Howard Thurman, come forth, please, sir. He was a mentor to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Albert Schweitzer and Mahatma Gandhi. He said, there's something in each and every one of you that waits and listens to the voice of the genuine in yourself. And it will be perhaps the only guide you will ever have. And if you cannot hear it all of your life, your days will be spent on the ends of strings that somebody else pulls. And I submit to you that you showed up here today because you've decided to pull your own strings. I submit to you that you have decided in your heart of hearts to live a bigger life. I submit to you that in your heart of hearts, you know you have greatness in you and the best is yet to come. Give yourselves a round of applause. Come on, bring your energy level up. Bring it up. Bring it up. Let us say together, it's necessary. Yes, it's necessary that you have a strategy to work on your mind on a regular basis. We're taught, be ye not conformed to this world, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that takes focus and that takes discipline. I'm encouraging you to go to YouTube after you leave here, and I want you to put in Les Brown speaking in the Georgia Dome. I want you to see that video and watch it 90 days straight. Les Brown speaking in the Georgia Dome. It's entitled, It's Not Over Till You Win. And the reason I want you to see that, in pursuit of my dream, life happens. Forrest Gump was right, that life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Things happen to me, and I was in my office in the Penobscot building, 21st floor in Detroit, Michigan, sleeping on the floor, bathing in the sink down the hall, hiding in the closet when the janitorial staff came in the middle of the night to clean the office. How many have ever gone through some tough times? Raise your hands, please. Robert Schuller was right, that tough times never last, but tough people do. Had to tough it out. I was going out talking to people about their dream, and I was sleeping on the floor of my office. And people say, well, you fake it till you make it. No. I wasn't faking it. In my mind, I was living out of my imagination. Einstein said the imagination is a preview of what's to come. I'm encouraging you to hold the vision tenaciously, regardless of what you're going through, regardless of the challenges and setbacks that you're experiencing. I want you to write this affirmation down, because you're going to go through some tough times. Think it not strange that you'll face the fiery furnaces of this world. You will, not you might, you will have tribulations. Write this down. No matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. That's what I had to affirm. No matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. I had to affirm myself every day with tears coming down my face. ducking creditors, not knowing how I was going to build my business. It was a challenging time. And I had to say that to myself over and over again. Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto you. And as you affirm that, you begin to call that an experience for yourself. How many of you said to yourself, I can do more? Raise your hands, please. Dr. Howard Thurman, who was a mentor to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I admire him. Brilliant man. He said, after I was diagnosed with prostate cancer and my PSA was 2,400, that stands for prostate-specific antigen, cancer had metastasized to 7 areas of my body, and I started smiling when the oncologist said that. He said, why are you smiling? I said, 7 is my lucky number. That's how I was born February 17th. My phone number is 702. My social security number is 267. My address is 27377 is my lucky number. Joshua marched around the walls of Jericho 7 times. Naaman dipped himself in the river Jordan 7 times. Then I tell you, 7 is my lucky number. That cancer's getting the hell beat out of it right now. It's been 21 years, and I'm still here. And so as you think about your goals and dreams, what's very important is your mindset, your belief, that you have to believe in your dream even when you don't have any evidence to support it. Even when everybody is against you, you've got to believe that I can do this after defeat and disappointment. Willie Jolly was right. A setback is a setup for a comeback. You have comeback power. You're here because you're different. If that said some entertainers were going to be here, you couldn't get in this place. The balcony would be full. Why? Because we have an entertainment-driven culture. That's why the average immigrant who comes to this country have a 3-time greater chance of having a business or buying their own home than the average American, because they have an achievement-driven mindset. And as we think about our goals and dreams, it's going to take everything in you. You have to work on yourself, work on your mindset, because you're going to take some hits. Here's something else. Practice this, OQP, write that down. Only quality people. As Keith was talking about, you got to look at the people in your life and ask, what value are they bringing to me, and what value are you bringing to them? If you're the smartest one in your group, as Dr. Dennis Kimbrough out of Atlanta said, you need to get a new group. There are many people who will never achieve their goals and dreams because they have too many toxic, negative, energy-draining people in their lives. Well, Les, can I change them? No, it's a full-time job changing yourself. And there's some people so negative they can walk into a dark room and begin to develop. Oh, behave, whatever. No, repeat after me, please. Let go. Or be dragged. Here's the other thing. Write this down. You're going to fail your way to success. 8 out of 10 millionaires have been financially bankrupt. Walt Disney filed bankruptcy 7 times and had 2 nervous breakdowns. You will fail your way to success. And it's not really failure. You're going to learn some stuff. When I win because of what I know. When I lose because of something that I did not know. And I've got to educate myself. I've got to elevate my thinking. I've got to get some input from some of the people in my group. Einstein said, the thinking that has brought me this far has created some problems that this thinking can't solve. There's never a shortage of money, just a shortage of thinking and ideas, as Robert Schuller said, and that's real. And so as you think about yourself, who is it that you need to deepen your relationship with, and who is it you need to spend less time with, and who is it that you don't need to take their calls? I'm going to share with you right now. We have too many distractions. You got to learn to listen to yourself. You got too many distractions from the phone and text messages and all these other platforms out here. I don't take a phone call unless, and write this down, is it positive? If it's not positive, I'm not going to take it. Is it purposeful? Is it something that's in relationship to what I'm doing and where I'm going? Is this a contributor or a taker? There are people who are always there when they need you, but when you need them, you can't find them. Is it productive? Is this worth my time? At 72, I'm not willing to waste my time talking with somebody, and it's not going to lead to anything. It's not productive. And is it profitable? Can I make some money with this person? You need to know that. Why? Your time is valuable. If you're going to lose something, lose some money. Time, you don't want to lose that. Money, you can recoup that. Time, you can't. Does that make sense what I'm saying to you right now? And so as you look at yourself, protect your time. I spent so much time trying to change my twin brother. I was trying to help him lose weight. I gained 14 pounds. Come on. It's tough. You know, life is, he called me complaining. I said, Wesley, I'm dealing with cancer every day. They injected me with Lupron and put 55 pounds on me. Come on, man. I'm dealing with sciatica pain every day. If you've never had sciatica pain, let me tell you something. It will have you speaking in unknown tongues. Chevrolet, Honda, Toyota, Tamabota, Chevrolet. It's all, anybody know what I'm talking about, sciatica pain? It's serious. You hear me? Write this down. I'm going to live my dream in spite of. Got to make a decision. You're going to live your dream as part of. It's necessary that you have that kind of mindset because you're going to have some opposition. Things are going to happen that you can't begin to imagine. No one wants to hear the 3 words, you have cancer. 3 words, most feared word in 7 different languages. The doctor looked at me and said, you have cancer. I said, can you give me a second opinion? Yes, and you're ugly too. Oh, I'm sorry, I got issues. I got problems. I laugh at myself. Okay. So as you look at your goals and dreams, decide you're going to make it happen in spite of. If you have money, great. If your last name is Rockefeller or Trump, great. I was doing a tour with the president called Millionaires in Training, and he was complaining to a reporter, my father only gave me $14 million. I said, hell, that would have been my dream. How many of you know if you had $14 million for your dream, you could live your dream? Raise your hands, please, all right? Let the record show. But if your last name is Trump or Rockefeller, that's great. But if it's not, it doesn't matter. You have something special. You have greatness in you. You have the ability to create wealth. You have the ability to make an impact. You have the ability to make a difference. You have the ability to do more than you can ever begin to imagine. I did not know this, Les Brown. And this is very important, what I'm about to say to you. I did not know this guy existed, a guy named Mike Williams. Write this down, The Road to Your Best Stuff. Get the book, you can get it on Amazon. The Road to Your Best Stuff. I wrote the foreword for it. I did not know this, Les Brown. I did not know he was in here. Hey, Brownie, yes, Mike. He said, hey, man, you know what? I said, what? You can do more than be a disc jockey. I said, I can? He said, yes. I said, what else I can do? He said, you can speak just like Zig Ziglar and all those guys. You got a story. You need a coach. Why? Michael Jordan, he's won several championships, but he never won a championship without Phil Jackson. Muhammad Ali said, I'm the greatest. He never won a championship without Angelo Dundee. And so this guy saw this Les Brown, Mike Williams, who wrote the book, The Road to Your Best Stuff. Write this down. Sometimes you have to believe in somebody's belief in you until your belief kicks in. I don't know you. Challenge yourself. Make a conscious, deliberate effort to get outside of your comfort zone, because in order to do something you've never done, you've got to become someone you've never been. Everybody repeat after me, please. Live full. Everybody together, live full. Die empty. When I came home after having 338 radiation seed implants, and my PSA continued to rise, I was reading something to give me a sense of comfort and peace. And Dr. Thurman said, the ideal situation for a man or woman to die is to have family members praying with them as they cross over. He said, but imagine, if you will, being on your deathbed. And standing around your bed, the ghost of the dreams, the ideas, the abilities given to you by life, but you, for whatever reason, you never pursued those dreams. You never act on those ideas. You never use those talents. You never use those gifts. And there they are, standing around your bed, looking at you with large, angry eyes, saying, we came to you, and only you could have given us life. And now we must die with you forever. And the question is, if you died today, what dreams, what gifts, what talents, what abilities would die with you? A very good friend of mine, Miles Monroe, died in a plane crash. He said, the wealthiest place on the planet is not in the Far East where there's oil in the ground. The wealthiest place on the planet is not in South Africa. He said, the wealthiest place on the planet is the cemetery. There you find books never written. There you find ideas never acted on. There you find leadership we never heard of. Maybe that's why one woman asked in a moment of anguish, what if you live your whole life only to discover that it was wrong? Maybe that's why Henry David Thoreau said, oh God, to reach the point of death, only to realize that you've never lived, only to realize that you never scraped the surface of your potential. Because of Mike Williams, I started doing different things. I had to concede that I could do more. I had to concede that I was going to challenge myself, start promoting concerts. And these guys came to town. I didn't know who they were going to become. They didn't know who I was going to become. I was Michael Jackson there standing down front. He was 10 years old, 1973. That's me standing in the back, 175. I had a six-pack. I got one pack now. Now, that's not nice, laughing at people. Whatever. And so when I had you shake someone's hand on your right and left and say, you have greatness in you, you don't know whose hand you just shook. Eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor is it in the heart of mankind what God has in store for that hand that you just shook. And so as you think about yourself, how many of you like to make a difference in your community? Raise your hands, please. I had no idea that I would be able to run for public office, and I was elected to the Ohio legislature 3 times, and I resigned to go back and take care of my mother. What's your why? What drives you? Where have you been with your life? Why are you here? And where are you going? Shake someone's hand on your right and left and say, I'm ready to live a bigger game. Do that right now. I'm ready to live a bigger game, a bigger life. Do that right now. I was driving my mother in the area of North Miami Beach, and she saw this big, beautiful house, and I drove her down this street deliberately. And she said, if I lived in something like that, I feel like Mrs. Rockefeller. I said, you really like that? She said, yes. She didn't know I had already made plans to get it for her. I drove her back in the area again 6 weeks later, and she said, slow down, Leslie. I said, what is it, Mama? Look at that house. I said, you really like that house? She said, yes. I know the people there. Let me take you in. Would you like to see it? She said, yes. I drove up to the house. At that time, Mama was 78. I went around and opened the door. As we started walking toward the house, she stopped and said, Leslie? I said, yes, ma'am. Boy, you sure you know these people? I said, yes, ma'am, Mama, I do. And so we got to the door. I couldn't hold it anymore. I put the key in. I turned the key. I said, Mrs. Rockefeller, this is your home. She said, what are you talking about, Leslie? I said, Mama, I bought this for you. It's fully furnished. Everything's paid for. She said, you did not have to do that. And I said, and you didn't have to adopt us either. I sat on the stage because of 2 women. One gave me life. The other one gave me love. God took me out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. And so as you think about your goals and dreams, I held the vision. I employed. I began to comply with the things that Mike taught me as a coach. You can't see the picture when you're in the frame. It's very important to have someone around you that can see what you can't see because they're looking with trained eyes. And here's the other thing. Let us say together, you got to be hungry. I'll never forget Mr. Washington said, Mr. Brown, what do you want to do? I said, I want to be able to take care of my mother. I want to be able to make my children proud of me. He said, you got to be hungry. I said, what do you mean by that? He said, people that are hungry are willing to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. How many of you have children? Raise your hands, please. Repeat after me, please. I'm going to build a legacy. I'm going to go all out. It's my time. And so I said, sir, I want to make my mother proud of me. I want to make my children proud of me. And I want to leave a legacy. He said, you got to be hungry. He said, people that are hungry believe always strive to get on top in life because it's the bottom that's overcrowded. People that are hungry are relentless. People that are hungry do what they know, not what they feel. People that are hungry, zero excuses. People that are hungry are unstoppable. I said, I'm hungry, sir. People always compare me with my brother and my sister who graduated from the University of Miami. It takes me longer to get things than most people, but once I got it, I got it. He said, good. So how do you plan to do that? I want to be a disc jockey. All right, here are my car keys. What do I need this for? Go to my car, 12 noon. There's a guy named Paul Harvey who comes on the radio. He's the greatest communicator in the world. He tells a story called The Rest of the Story. I want you to listen to him at 12 noon. You want to become successful? Watch the people that are doing what you want to do. He's a master. And I say that to you. Find people who are doing what it is you want to do. Develop a relationship because success leaves clues. And the other thing he told me, OQP, only quality people. Let go or be dragged. Let all the negative, toxic people in your life go. You earn within $2,000 to $3,000 of your closest friends. When I found that out, I got every broke person out of my life. He told me to do that. I did it. And then he said, okay, Mr. Brown, I want you to go to WMBM radio station and ask for Milton Butterball Smith. Tell him I told you to come. I went to WMBM. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you, sir? My name is Les Brown, sir. I'd like to become a disc jockey. He said, young man, you having journalism? I said, no, sir, I don't. Having experience in broadcasting? No, sir, I don't. He said, I'm sorry, we don't have any job for you. How many have been rejected? Raise your hands, please. I was devastated with rejection. I went back and I said, Mr. Washington. They said, no. He said, don't take it personally. Most people are so negative, they have to say no 7 times before they say yes. He said, you got to be hungry. Go back again. I went back again. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you, sir? My name is Les Brown, sir. I'd like to be a disc jockey. He said, I know what your name is. Weren't you here yesterday? I said, yes, sir, I was. Didn't I tell you no yesterday? I said, yes, sir, you did. Then why are you back today? I said, well, sir, I don't know whether or not somebody died or someone got sick there. No one got sick or died. No one was laid off of fire. Now, don't you come back here again. I came back the next day, talking loud, looking happy, like I was singing for the first time. I said, hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you? He looked at me betrayed. He said, go get me some coffee. I said, yes, sir. My greatest book said, the greatest among you will be your servant. How many of you are serious about your goals? Raise your hands. Write this down. Provide more service than you get paid for. Provide more service than you get paid for. And I came in the industry, I just heard guys getting up regurgitating speeches they gave everywhere. I trained speakers how to speak extemporaneously from their heart and move an audience and transform them individually and collectively. So I became the errand boy for the disc jockeys. I'd go get their lunch and their dinner, and I'd stand in the control room watching them work their hands on the control board, knowing my time would come. Let us say together, I expect to win. On the weekends, I would wax the disc jockeys' cars and clean the cars. And they would come out to the parking lot and said, who did this? I said, I did, sir. How much you charge? Nothing, sir. Write this down. Give before you ask. I wanted them to see me as a resource, and I was giving before I asked for the opportunity. They said, look here, Donna Ross and the Supremes are coming to town. The Four Tops and the Temptations. Here are my car keys. I want you to pick them up and take them to the Fontainebleau Hotel on Miami Beach. I said, I will, sir. I was driving them all over Miami Beach in the disc jockeys' big lone Cadillacs. I didn't have any driver's license, but I was driving like I had some. And then one day, it was a Saturday afternoon, a disc jockey by the name of Rockin' Roger was drinking while he was on the air. Rockin' Roger got so drunk he could not complete the show. It was a Saturday afternoon, and I was the only one there, looking at him through the control room window. Young, ready, and hungry. I was saying, drink, rock, drink. Drink, rock. I'd have gone get him some more if it asked me to. Then pretty soon the phone rang, and the general manager, and I answered the phone. I said, hello? He said, young boy, this is Mr. Klein. I said, I know. He said, Rock can't finish the program. I said, I know. He said, would you call one of the other DJs in? I said, yes, sir. I hung the phone up. I said, now he must think I'm crazy. I called my mom and my girlfriend, Cassandra. I said, y'all come out on the front porch and turn on the radio. I'm about to come on the air. I waited for about 20 minutes, and I called him back and said, Mr. Klein, I can't find nobody. He said, young boy, you know how to work the controls? I said, yes, sir. He said, go in there and don't you say nothing here. I said, yes, sir. I couldn't wait to get old Rock out of the way. I put on a fast record. I said, look out, this is me, LB, Triple P. Les Brown, your platter playing Papa. There were none before me, and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only. Young and single and love to mingle, certified, bona fide, dubitably qualified to bring you satisfaction and a whole lot of action. Look out, baby, I'm your love man. I was hungry. I was hungry. Shake someone's hand on your right and left in front of you and behind you and say, you got to be hungry. Do that right now. Say, you got to be hungry. You have something special. You have greatness in you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.